The transport shuttle hummed as it approached the massive space station. Ji-hoon pressed his face against the window, watching the structure grow larger. It looked like a giant crystal flower floating in space, with dozens of petals that glowed in different colors. Each petal was a different section of the Voltraxis Medical Academy. "It's beautiful," Yuna whispered from the seat beside him. Her eyes were wide with wonder. My NHO leaned over from across the aisle. "It's huge. I heard over 10,000 students study here from all across the galaxy." Ji-hoon nodded. His stomach felt tight with nervousness. 3 months ago, he had been a medical student on Earth. Now he was about to attend the most famous medical school in known space. Humanity had only joined the galactic community 5 years ago, and this was the first time human students were allowed to study alien medicine. The shuttle docked with a soft thud. The doors opened and cool air rushed in. It smelled strange, like metal and flowers mixed together. Ji-hoon grabbed his bag and followed the other passengers out. The docking bay was enormous. Hundreds of beings moved through it, and Ji-hoon tried not to stare. He saw creatures that looked like walking crystals, their bodies reflecting light in rainbow patterns. There were massive beings covered in thick armor, each one easily 3 meters tall. Small floating orbs drifted past, leaving trails of soft light behind them. "Are those the Silith?" Yuna asked quietly, pointing at the floating orbs. "I think so," Ji-hoon replied. He had studied the different species before coming here, but seeing them in person was completely different. A tall crystalline being approached them. Its body chimed softly as it moved, like wind chimes. "Human students, please follow. Orientation begins soon." The 3 humans exchanged glances and followed their guide through the station. They walked down long corridors with walls that seemed to shift colors. Other students passed them, many stopping to stare at the humans. Ji-hoon heard whispers in languages he did not understand. Their guide led them to a large amphitheater. Rows of seats curved down toward a central platform. The seats were all different sizes and shapes to accommodate different species. Ji-hoon found a section marked for their body type and sat down. The seat adjusted automatically to fit him. "Welcome, students of the 2347 class," a voice echoed through the hall. A floating Silith descended to the platform. Its light pulsed as it spoke. "I am Director Pelmorth. You have come from across the galaxy to study the art of healing. Here, you will learn to treat any species in any condition, anywhere." The director's light shifted to a deep blue. "You will find this challenging. Each species experiences pain differently. Each has different biology. What heals one may kill another. You must learn to see beyond your own experience." Ji-hoon listened carefully. He had always wanted to be a doctor, to help people. Now he would learn to help beings he had never even imagined existed. "Your first week will be observation," the director continued. "You will attend lectures and laboratory sessions. You will learn basic xenobiology. After that, practical training begins." The orientation lasted 2 hours. They learned about the academy's rules, the different facilities, and the training schedule. When it ended, students began filing out of the amphitheater. Ji-hoon stood and stretched. "Excuse me," a deep voice rumbled behind him. Ji-hoon turned and looked up. Way up, a massive armored being towered over him. Its shell was dark green and looked thick enough to stop a bullet. 2 eyes peered down from a heavy, ridge-like brow. "You are human, yes?" the being asked. "Yes, I'm Ji-hoon. These are my classmates, Yuna and Minho." The armored being made a sound like rocks grinding together. Ji-hoon realized it was laughing. "I am Calvish. I am Throck. Your species is very small, very soft-looking. No shell, no armor. How do you survive?" Minho stepped forward. not seeming intimidated despite being less than half the Throg's height. "We manage. How about you? That armor looks heavy. Can you even move fast?" Calvish's eyes widened. Then he laughed again, louder this time. "I like you, small soft one. Yes, we will see who is better in training. May the best healer win." He walked away, his heavy footsteps echoing in the hall. Did he just challenge us? Yuna asked. "I think it was friendly," Ji-hoon said, though he was not entirely sure. Over the next few days, they settled into a routine. Morning lectures covered xenobiology. They learned that Velon, the crystal beings, did not have blood. Instead, they had liquid light flowing through their bodies. The Throg had 3 hearts and could survive injuries that would kill most species instantly. The Silith were not even solid. They were clusters of energy held together by quantum fields. Afternoon sessions were in the laboratories. The students practiced on simulation dummies that could mimic any species. Ji-hoon found it fascinating and overwhelming at the same time. Everything he had learned about human medicine was just a tiny fraction of what he needed to know now. The other students were polite but distant. Ji-hoon noticed they treated the humans like children, speaking slowly and explaining basic things over and over. During one lab session, a Velon student named Kresh watched Ji-hoon struggle to calibrate a diagnostic tool. "Perhaps humans are not ready for this level of study," Kresh said, his voice chiming softly. "Your species is very young. Only 5 years in the galactic community. Maybe you should start with simpler medicine." Ji-hoon felt his face grow hot, but he kept his voice calm. "We're learning. Everyone starts somewhere." "Yes, but most species have had millions of years to develop medicine. Humans are so new, so fragile. You have no natural armor, no redundant organs, short lifespans. What can you possibly contribute?" Before Ji-hoon could respond, the instructor called for attention. The class moved on to the next exercise. But Kresh's words stayed with him. What could humans contribute? They were physically weaker than most species here. Their technology was primitive compared to civilizations that had been exploring space for millennia. Their medicine was basic. That evening, the 3 humans ate dinner together in the station's food court. The academy provided human-compatible food, though it tasted bland and processed. "They don't think we belong here," Yuna said quietly. She pushed her food around her plate. "I heard students talking. They think we're a joke, an experiment that will fail." Minho shrugged. "Let them think what they want. We'll prove ourselves through our work." Ji-hoon nodded, but doubt gnawed at him. They were so far from home, so different from everyone else. The galaxy was ancient and vast, and humanity was just a newcomer stumbling into a universe they barely understood. "We just need to work hard," he said, more to convince himself than his friends. "We just need to show them we're serious." None of them knew that in just a few days, everything would change. An accident would occur that would force Ji-hoon to make a choice. A choice that would shock the entire academy and change how the galaxy saw humanity forever. But for now, they were just 3 students trying to find their place in a universe that did not quite know what to make of them yet. The practical examination room was different from the regular labs. It was larger, with high ceilings and walls made of reinforced metal. In the center sat various pieces of emergency medical equipment, all designed to work with different species. 20 students stood in a circle around the equipment, waiting for instructions. Ji-hoon checked his gear for the 3rd time. The emergency kit felt heavy on his hip. Beside him, Yuna was reading through her datapad, reviewing notes on emergency procedures. Minho stood with his arms crossed, looking calm and ready. Instructor Calvesh stood at the front of the room. The massive Throg had turned out to be one of their main teachers for emergency medicine. Despite his earlier joking, he was a strict but fair instructor. "Today, we practice emergency triage. Calvish announced, his deep voice filling the room. A simulation will begin. You will have multiple casualties, different species, different injuries. You must decide who to treat first, who can wait, who is beyond help. In real emergencies, these decisions save lives. He gestured to the equipment. The simulation uses real chemicals and real environmental hazards. Safety protocols are in place, but treat this as real. Hesitation kills patients. The students spread out across the room, taking positions. Ji-hoon's heart beat faster. This was their first major practical test. A chance to prove they belonged here. Begin simulation, Calvish commanded. Immediately, alarms blared. Lights flashed red. Holographic casualties appeared throughout the room, each showing different injuries. The students moved quickly, assessing and categorizing according to their training. Ji-hoon ran to the nearest casualty, a simulated Velan with fractures running through its crystalline body. He pulled out his scanner and began assessment. Class 2 trauma, stable for now, he called out. Marking the hologram with a yellow tag dot around him, other students worked efficiently. The Throk students moved the heavy equipment with ease. The Velan students used their natural ability to sense light frequencies to diagnose internal injuries. The Silith coordinated communications between teams, thought everything was going smoothly. Then something went wrong. Loud crack echoed through the room. One of the containment units near the back wall sparked and hissed. The students closest to it stepped back quickly. Minor malfunction, Calvish called out. Continue the exercise. Maintenance will the containment unit exploded. The blast was not large, but it was enough. The unit had been holding simulation chemicals, corrosive compounds used to mimic acid burns for training purposes. Now those chemicals sprayed across the back section of the room. More alarms screamed. Red emergency lights flooded everything. The students near the blast scattered, following their species' instincts. The Velan students immediately locked their bodies into protective crystalline stasis, becoming hard and still. The Silith dispersed their consciousness, their energy forms scattering to avoid damage. The other Throk students sealed their armor plating, becoming walking tanks but unable to move quickly. Ji-hoon's eyes stung from the fumes. The chemicals were spreading fast, eating through the floor where they landed. His training kicked in. He looked for casualties, for anyone hurt. Then he saw Calvish. The instructor had been standing near the containment unit, demonstrating a technique. The blast had caught him directly. His legendary Throk armor was smoking, the chemicals burning through even that incredible protection. Calvish stumbled, trying to reach the safe zone, but his legs gave out. He collapsed with a thunderous crash. Everything seemed to slow down. The other students were frozen, locked in their various safety responses. The alarms continued to wail. Chemical smoke filled the air, making it hard to see and harder to breathe. Ji-hoon did not think. He just moved. He ran toward Calvish, his feet pounding against the floor. The air was thick with toxic fumes. He could feel his skin starting to burn where the chemicals touched him. His eyes watered. His throat felt like fire. Every instinct screamed at him to turn back, to find safety, to protect himself. He ignored all of it. What was that? One Velan student hissed from his crystalline stasis, already reaching for a trauma kit, but too shocked to move. Ji-hoon reached, Calvish, and dropped to his knees beside the massive instructor. The Throk was easily 4 times his weight. The chemicals were still burning through his armor, and smoke rose from the wounds. Calvish's eyes were squeezed shut in pain. Hold on, Ji-hoon said, knowing the instructor probably could not hear him over the alarms. He grabbed Calvish under the arms and pulled. The Throk did not budge. Too heavy. Way too heavy. Ji-hoon's muscles screamed in protest. The chemicals were burning his hands now, eating through his gloves. The pain was incredible, like touching a hot stove and not being able to let go. Pull. Just pull. Ji-hoon planted his feet and pulled with everything he had. Calvish slid a few centimeters. Not enough. Not nearly enough. The safe zone was 20 meters away. Then Yuna was beside him, her face already red from chemical exposure. She grabbed Calvish's other arm. Together they pulled. Calvish moved a little more. Minho appeared on the other side, coughing from the fumes. On 3, he gasped. 1, 2, 3. They pulled together. Calvish's body dragged across the floor. 10 meters to go. Ji-hoon's vision was starting to blur. His skin felt like it was on fire. His lungs burned with every breath. But he did not let go. Pull. Keep pulling. 5 meters. Ji-hoon's legs were shaking. He could barely see. Yuna was coughing so hard she could barely breathe. Minho's hands were covered in chemical burns. But they kept pulling. 2 meters. They crossed into the safe zone and collapsed. Immediately, emergency decontamination systems activated, spraying neutralizing foam over everyone. Medical drones descended from the ceiling, scanning for injuries. Ji-hoon lay on his back, gasping for air. His whole body hurt. His hands felt like they were still burning, even though the chemicals were being neutralized. Through his blurred vision, he saw Minho crawling toward Calvish, his medical training overriding his pain. Minho's hands, shaking and blistered, pulled out his emergency kit. He began treating Calvish's burns, working quickly despite his own injuries. Yuna, still coughing, forced herself to sit up and help him. Ji-hoon tried to stand, but his legs would not work. The adrenaline was wearing off, and the pain was overwhelming. He saw the other students emerging from their protective states, staring at the 3 humans with expressions he could not read. Director Pelmorth's energy form materialized in the room, pulsing with urgent light. Emergency medical teams, respond immediately. Shut down all simulations. Evacuate the training bay. More medical personnel rushed in. They loaded Calvish onto a hover stretcher. The instructor was unconscious, but alive. The medical team turned to the 3 humans next. Can you walk? A medic asked Ji-hoon. He tried to stand again. This time his legs held, barely. I think so. We need to get you to medical. All 3 of you. You have severe chemical burns and toxic exposure. As they were led out of the training bay, Ji-hoon looked back. The other students were still standing there, watching. Their faces showed shock, confusion, and something else. Something that might have been fear. In the medical bay, as the doctors treated his burns and gave him medication for the pain, Ji-hoon heard the whispers starting. They spread through the station like wildfire. The humans ran into danger. The humans did not protect themselves first. The humans ignored their survival instincts. The humans saved Instructor Calvish when no one else could move. What kind of species does that? What kind of beings choose to suffer when they could choose safety? Ji-hoon closed his eyes, exhausted and in pain. He had not done anything special, he thought. Someone needed help. They had the training. The choice was obvious. He did not understand yet that for most of the galaxy, that choice was not obvious at all. He did not know that what seemed natural to him was impossible to most species. He did not realize that in those few minutes of pulling an injured instructor to safety, he and his friends had done something that would change how the entire galaxy saw humanity. But he would learn soon enough. Ji-hoon woke up in a white room that smelled like antiseptic. His hands were wrapped in thick bandages that glowed faintly blue. They felt numb, which was better than the burning pain he remembered. He tried to sit up and groaned. Easy, Yuna's voice came from nearby. The doctors said not to move too much. He turned his head. Yuna was in the bed next to him, also covered in bandages. Her face was red and peeling, but she was smiling. Across the room, Minho was sitting up, eating something from a tray. How long was I asleep? Ji-hoon asked. About 18 hours, Minho said between bites. The doctors kept us sedated while the healing treatments worked. You had the worst burns, so they kept you under longer. A door slid open and a medical drone floated in, followed by a tall, slender being that Ji-hoon did not recognize. The being had smooth silver skin and large eyes that seemed to see everything at once. Good. You are awake, the being said in a soft voice. I am Dr. Velsha. I have been treating your injuries. How do you feel? Sore, Ji-hoon admitted, but better than I expected. Dr. Velsha moved to his bedside and began scanning him with a medical device. Your recovery is remarkable. Most species with your level of injuries would still be unconscious. Your body's healing response is very aggressive. Is Instructor Calvish okay? Ji-hoon asked. He will fully recover, thanks to you. If you had not pulled him from the contaminated zone when you did, the chemicals would have eaten through to his primary heart. He would have died. Dr. Velsha paused, his large eyes studying Ji-hoon. You do understand you almost died yourself, yes? The toxic exposure you sustained would have killed many species. You should not have been able to move, let alone drag a Throk to safety. Ji-hoon did not know what to say to that. The door opened again. Director Pelmorth floated in, his energy form pulsing with a warm golden light. Behind him came several other beings, all wearing the formal robes of the Academy's senior faculty. Students Ji-hoon, Yuna, and Minho. Director Pelmorth's voice resonated through the room. What you did was either incredibly brave or incredibly foolish. We are still determining which. We just did what we were trained to do, Yuna said quietly. No, one of the faculty members said sharply. It was a Velan professor, his crystalline body chiming with agitation. You did what you were not trained to do. Protocol in such situations is clear. Protect yourself first. Wait for proper equipment. Ensure your own safety before attempting rescue. But someone would have died, Minho said, confusion in his voice. Better one death than four, the Velan professor replied. That is basic emergency response logic. You risked 3 lives to save 1. Mathematically inefficient. Tactically unsound. Director Pelmorth's light dimmed. What Professor Kresh means is that your actions were statistically unlikely to succeed. Most species, when faced with pain and danger of that magnitude, physically cannot continue. Their bodies force them into protective states. You 3 should have collapsed from pain. Your nervous systems should have shut down. Yet you kept moving. We need to understand how. Over the next several days, the 3 humans underwent extensive testing. Doctors scanned them, analyzed their biology, and asked endless questions about human physiology and culture. Dr. Velsha was fascinated by what he found. Your bodies produce a chemical called adrenaline when under stress, he explained to them one afternoon. This chemical temporarily makes you stronger, faster, and suppresses pain signals. Many species have similar responses, but yours is extraordinarily powerful. During the accident, your adrenaline levels were high enough to kill most beings. Yet you functioned normally. It did not feel normal, Ji-hoon said, remembering the burning pain. That is the other remarkable thing, Dr. Velsha continued. You felt the pain. Your scans show your pain receptors were firing at maximum capacity. You were in agony, but you continued anyway. You made a conscious choice to ignore what your body was telling you. Yuna leaned forward. Is that unusual? Unusual? Dr. Velsha made a sound like wind chimes laughing. It is nearly unheard of. Most species cannot override their pain responses. When pain reaches a certain threshold, their bodies simply stop them from continuing. It is a survival mechanism. But humans can choose to push through. You can decide that something else is more important than your own comfort or even your own survival. He pulled up a holographic display showing comparative data. I have been researching your species' history. Did you know that humans regularly undergo voluntary pain? You have things called marathons, where you run until your body breaks down. You have extreme sports where you deliberately put yourselves in danger. You even have a concept called pain tolerance training. Minho shrugged. Some people like pushing their limits. But why? Professor Kresh had joined them, his crystalline form reflecting light sharply. Why would any species evolve to ignore survival instincts? It makes no sense. Director Pelmorth's energy form pulsed thoughtfully. I have been reviewing Earth's evolutionary history. Humans evolved as what they call persistence hunters. They would chase prey animals for days until the prey collapsed from exhaustion. The prey was faster, stronger, but humans would not stop. They could not be escaped. That is terrifying, Professor Kresh said quietly. There is more, the director continued. Human history is filled with examples of what they call heroism. Individuals throwing themselves into danger to save others, even strangers. Soldiers sacrificing themselves for their units. Civilians running into burning buildings to rescue children. This behavior appears throughout their culture. That is illogical, Professor Kresh insisted. From an evolutionary standpoint, self-sacrifice for non-relatives should be selected against. Yuna spoke up. We call it empathy. When we see someone suffering, we feel it too. We cannot just walk away. It feels wrong. Professor Kresh was silent for a long moment. You bonded with Instructor Calvish. After only knowing him a few weeks? We did not really think about it, Ji-hoon admitted. He needed help. We could provide help. That was enough. Director Pelmorth's light shifted to a deep blue, which Ji-hoon had learned meant deep thought. This explains much about your species' rapid integration into galactic society. Humans form bonds easily, even with those very different from themselves. You adopt others into your social groups without hesitation. You say that like it is strange, Minho said. It is, Dr. Velsha replied gently. Most species only form strong bonds with genetic relatives or long-term associates. The idea of risking your life for someone you barely know, someone not even of your species, is alien to most of the galaxy. Literally. News of the incident and the testing results spread through the academy and beyond. Students who had previously dismissed the humans now watched them with wary respect. Some avoided them entirely, as if afraid that human recklessness might be contagious, thought others sought them out with questions. One evening, a young Throck student named Borak approached Ji-hoon in the dining hall. Is it true? Borak asked. That humans feel pain as intensely as any species, but just ignore it? We do not ignore it exactly, Ji-hoon said. We feel it. But sometimes other things matter more. Like what? Like helping someone who needs it. Borak sat down across from him, his heavy armor clanking against the chair. My people are known as the toughest in the galaxy. Our armor can withstand almost anything. But when I saw you pull Instructor Calvish through those chemicals, your skin burning, and you just kept going. He paused. That is a different kind of strength. A strength I do not have. Ji-hoon did not know what to say to that. He had never thought of himself as particularly strong. He was just doing what needed to be done. But as he looked around the dining hall, seeing the other students watching him, he began to understand. The galaxy was full of species stronger, faster, tougher than humans. They had better technology, longer lives, incredible abilities. But maybe, just maybe, humans had something unique to offer after all. Not physical strength or advanced science, but a simple willingness to help, even when it hurt. Especially when it hurt. The question was whether the galaxy would see that as a gift or a flaw, and whether Ji-hoon and his friends were ready for what came next. 3 months passed. The station's artificial seasons shifted from what they called bright cycle to dim cycle, mimicking natural day and night. Ji-hoon had adjusted to life at the academy, though it still felt strange sometimes to be surrounded by so many different species. Thought everything changed after the accident. The three humans were no longer ignored or dismissed. Instead, they were watched constantly. Some students looked at them with respect, others with fear, a few with something that might have been jealousy. The medical faculty invited them to special sessions. Dr. Velsha asked them to demonstrate human emergency response techniques. Other professors wanted to study their stress reactions, their pain tolerance, their decision-making under pressure. It is like being laboratory animals, Minho muttered one day after another round of tests. Yuna laughed. At least we are interesting laboratory animals. But it was not just testing. New opportunities appeared. A rescue coordination center contacted them about training positions. Several hospitals requested human consultants for high-risk cases. The Galactic Medical Council itself sent an inquiry about human emergency protocols. Ji-hoon found himself teaching a class on what they called human trauma response. 30 students from a dozen species attended. They watched recordings of the accident, analyzed the humans' decisions, tried to understand. But how did you know it would work? A small insect-like student asked. How did you know you could survive the exposure long enough to save him? We did not know, Ji-hoon answered honestly. We just knew we had to try. The classroom went silent. The concept seemed to trouble many of them that not everyone was supportive. A faction within the academy argued that humans were dangerous, that their willingness to ignore safety protocols could get others killed. They pointed out that if the three humans had died in the accident, the academy would have lost 3 students instead of just 1 instructor. They are reckless, Professor Kresh told the faculty council, his voice recorded and leaked to students. They act on emotion rather than logic. They make decisions that put themselves and others at risk. We should not encourage this behavior. But others disagreed. Director Pelmorth became one of the humans' strongest advocates. These students represent something we have forgotten, the director said in a public statement. We've become so efficient, so logical, so safe that we have lost sight of what medicine is truly about. It is not just about statistics and survival rates. It is about caring for others, even when it is difficult. Especially when it is difficult. The debate raged across the station and beyond. News services across the galaxy picked up the story. Humans, the newest species to join galactic civilization, were challenging thousands of years of established medical practice. Yuna became fascinated with the research side of things. She spent hours in the archives, comparing human psychology with other species. She discovered that humans bonded with almost anything, adopting pets, forming attachments to objects, even naming their vehicles and tools. We are pattern-seeking, social creatures, she explained to Ji-hoon and Minho over dinner one evening. We survived on Earth by forming groups, working together, caring for each other. That instinct is so strong that we extend it to everything around us. We cannot help it. Is that bad? Minho asked. No, Yuna said thoughtfully. But it makes us different. Most species here have clear boundaries for their social groups. Family, clan, hive. Humans blur those boundaries. We make everyone part of our pack if we spend enough time with them. As if to prove her point, Instructor Calvish had become something like a friend to them. The massive Throck had fully recovered and returned to teaching. He often ate meals with the 3 humans, sharing stories of his years as a combat medic. You saved my life, he told them one day, his deep voice unusually soft. My people value strength and honor. What you did was both. You faced impossible odds and did not yield. That is the Throck way. Yet you are not Throck. You are something else. something the galaxy has not seen before. But not all attention was positive. Some students avoided the humans entirely now. Rumors spread that humans were unstable, that their emotional responses made them unpredictable. A few incidents occurred where students refused to work with the humans on group projects. They are afraid of us, Ji-hoon realized one day. They do not understand why we do what we do, so they fear it. Director Pelmorth called them to his office 6 months after the accident. The director's energy form swirled in shades of serious blue. The Galactic Medical Council has made a decision, Pelmorth said. They are creating a new certification. Extreme Environment Emergency Response. It will be the highest level of emergency medical training available. That sounds good, Yuna said. It is designed to be nearly impossible, the director continued. The test will push candidates to their absolute physical and mental limits. It will simulate catastrophic emergencies that most species cannot handle. The Council believes only the most exceptional medical professionals should receive this certification. Minho frowned. Why are you telling us this? Pelmorth's light flickered. Because many on the Council designed this test specifically with humans in mind. They want to prove that your success at saving Calvish was luck, not skill. They want to show that human recklessness fails under proper examination. Ji-hoon felt a weight in his stomach. They want us to fail. Some do, yes. Others genuinely want to see what you are capable of. The test will be offered to all species. Any student in their final year can attempt it. But everyone knows the real question being asked is whether humans are truly as capable as the incident suggested, or whether you simply got lucky once. When is the test? Minho asked. 6 months from now. You will have that time to prepare. I should tell you that the expected passage rate is 10 to 15%, and that is among the Academy's best students. Many faculty believe no one will pass the first administration of the exam. The 3 humans looked at each other. Ji-hoon could see determination in his friend's eyes, the same determination he felt. We will take it, Ji-hoon said. All of us, Yuna added. Pelmorth's energy pulsed with what might have been approval. I thought you would say that. Very well, I will register you. But understand, this will not be like the accident. This will be planned, controlled, designed to find your breaking point and push you past it. Many believe you will withdraw before it even ends. Let them believe what they want, Minho said quietly. We will show them what humans can do. Word spread quickly that the 3 humans had registered for the impossible exam. Some students wished them luck. Others made bets on how quickly they would quit. Professor Kresh publicly stated that allowing humans to attempt such a dangerous test was irresponsible. But Instructor Calvish approached them in the training hall one day. The big Throk looked at each of them seriously. I have seen combat, he said. I have seen warriors face impossible odds. I know what it looks like when someone refuses to surrender. You 3 have that look. That fire. He placed a massive hand on Ji-hoon's shoulder, gentle despite its weight. Do not let them break you. Show them that humans are not just lucky. Show them you are strong. As the months passed, they trained harder than ever before. They studied every extreme environment scenario they could find. They pushed their bodies to the limit and then pushed further. Other students sometimes joined them, inspired by their dedication or curious about human training methods. Borak, the young Throk, became a regular training partner. You have taught me something, he told them one day. I always relied on my armor, my natural strength. But watching you train, seeing you push past pain, I realize strength is not just what you are born with. It is what you choose to do when it is difficult. The day before the exam, Ji-hoon could not sleep. He lay in his quarters, staring at the ceiling, thinking about everything that had led to this moment. A year ago, he had been a simple medical student on Earth. Now he was about to take a test designed to prove humans did not belong in emergency medicine. He thought about all the people watching, waiting to see if humans would fail. He thought about the species who feared them, who thought they were too reckless, too emotional, too willing to sacrifice themselves. Then he thought about Instructor Calvish, alive because they refused to let him die. He thought about all the future patients who might need someone willing to try the impossible. Ji-hoon closed his eyes and felt calm settle over him. Whatever happened tomorrow, they would give everything they had. They would show the galaxy what humans meant when they said someone needed help. And maybe, just maybe, that would be enough. The examination chamber was enormous, easily the size of a small space station. 50 candidates from 23 species stood in the staging area, all wearing specialized suits designed to protect them while still exposing them to realistic danger. Ji-hoon's suit felt tight across his chest. He checked his medical kit one more time, then looked at Yuna and Minho. They nodded to each other. No words were needed. Director Pelmorth's voice echoed through the chamber. This is the Extreme Environment Emergency Response Certification Exam. You will face a simulated catastrophic failure aboard a colony transport ship. Your goal is to save as many lives as possible while surviving yourselves. The scenario will last up to 12 hours. You may withdraw at any time by activating your emergency beacon. There is no shame in withdrawal. This test is designed to find your limits. Good luck to all candidates. The lights dimmed. Alarms began to wail. The simulation started immediately. Holographic displays showed a massive ship tearing itself apart. Hull breaches, fire, radiation leaks. Dozens of casualties appeared throughout the chamber. Holograms so realistic they seemed to be actually injured beings from different species. Ji-hoon ran toward the nearest casualty, his training taking over. A Valan with severe fractures. He stabilized it quickly and moved on. Around him, other candidates worked efficiently. Everyone knew their roles. Their procedures thought our one passed. The scenario escalated. Gravity began fluctuating. Temperature swings made some areas too hot, others freezing cold. Candidates began to struggle. A few activated their emergency beacons and withdrew, disappearing in flashes of light. By hour 3, the environmental hazards were extreme. Ji-hoon's suit protected him from the worst of it, but he could feel the heat even through the insulation. Sweat ran down his face. His muscles ached from carrying equipment and patients to safe zones. He saw Yuna across the chamber, treating a simulated Throck with radiation burns. Minho was coordinating triage in what had become the main medical area. More candidates withdrew. The comfortable strategies stopped working as the simulation grew worse. Soon only 20 candidates remained, then 15. Hour 6 arrived. Ji-hoon's hands were shaking from exhaustion. He had stopped counting how many patients he had treated. The scenario kept escalating, kept pushing them harder. A Silith candidate beside him collapsed from energy depletion and had to withdraw. A proud Throck student admitted defeat and activated his beacon. Yuna found Ji-hoon during a brief moment of calm. Her face was pale with exhaustion. "This is insane," she gasped. "They really did design this to be impossible." "We keep going," Ji-hoon said. "Someone has to." By hour 8, only 7 candidates remained. 3 humans and 4 others. The simulation showed no mercy. A new crisis developed, a radiation containment failure in the engineering section. If not repaired, the entire ship would become uninhabitable. But the radiation levels were already dangerously high. The remaining candidates looked at each other. Everyone knew what the scenario was testing now. Who would risk themselves to save everyone else? The non-human candidates hesitated. Their suits could protect them to a point, but the radiation in that section was beyond safety limits. Their species' survival instincts held them back. It was not cowardice. It was biology. Their bodies would not let them enter certain death. Minho moved first. "I will go," he said simply. "We all go," Yuna corrected. "We work faster together." The three humans entered the radiation zone. Immediately, alarms screamed on their suits. Radiation levels critical. Exposure dangerous. Withdraw immediately. They ignored the warnings. The repair was complex, requiring precise work while radiation burned through their suits. Ji-hoon's hands were steady despite the pain starting to build in his body. Beside him, Yuna worked on the secondary systems. Minho handled the primary containment field. 5 minutes in the zone. The pain was getting worse. Ji-hoon could feel it like fire in his bones. 10 minutes. His vision blurred. The radiation was cooking him from the inside. But the repair was almost done. 15 minutes. The containment field stabilized. Green lights appeared on the displays. They had done it. The three humans stumbled out of the radiation zone and collapsed. Medical drones immediately swarmed them, administering treatment. But they were still conscious, still in the simulation. They got back up. The other 4 candidates stared at them with something like horror. R9. A new alert appeared. The ship's nursery section was on fire. 20 infant simulations, multiple species, were trapped. The fire was spreading fast. To reach them required crossing through a corridor where temperatures had reached extreme levels. The simulation calculated survival probability at 12%. Everyone in the chamber, candidates and observers alike, understood what this meant. This was the final test. The impossible choice. Save yourself or die, trying to save others. The 4 non-human candidates stood frozen. Their training, their logic, their very biology told them the same thing. You cannot save anyone if you are dead. The rational choice was clear. Ji-hoon looked at the display showing the trapped infants. They were just simulations. This was just a test. He could withdraw right now with honor. No one would blame him. He had already proven himself. He looked at Yuna and Minho, saw the same thought in their eyes. "Someone has to try," he said. They moved together. The heat was immediate and overwhelming. Even through their suits, Ji-hoon could feel his skin starting to burn. The corridor was long, and the infants were at the far end. This was going to hurt. This was going to hurt more than anything. They ran anyway. The simulated infants were small, light enough to carry. Ji-hoon grabbed 2 and turned back. The heat was incredible. His suit was failing, melting in places. His skin blistered where the suit had burned through. Every breath was agony. His legs wanted to give out. He kept running. Yuna passed him going the other way, carrying 3 infants. Her face was red and blistered. Tears ran down her cheeks from pain, but she did not stop. Minho made 4 trips, then 5. Each time he came back, he was moving slower, his body breaking down from the heat. But each time he went back, trip by trip, they moved the infants to safety. Ji-hoon lost count of how many times he crossed that burning corridor. His body screamed at him to stop. His vision faded in and out. His hands were so burned, he could barely grip the simulated infants. But there was still more to save. One more trip. Just one more. Ji-hoon forced his legs to move. The last 2 infants. He grabbed them and turned. His legs gave out. He fell, clutching the simulated infants to his chest. The heat was unbearable. He could not get up. His body had finally reached its limit. Then hands grabbed him. Yuna and Minho, their own bodies failing, pulled him up. Together, supporting each other, they stumbled out of the corridor. All 20 infants were safe. The 3 humans collapsed in a heap. Medical drones swarmed immediately, treating their severe burns and heat exhaustion. Around them, The simulation finally ended. The alarm stopped. The lights came back up. They had been in the exam for 11 hours and 43 minutes. They were the only candidates still in the chamber. Everyone else had withdrawn hours ago. Director Pelmorth's energy form appeared above them, pulsing with colors Ji-hoon had never seen before. The examination is complete. All 3 human candidates have passed with the highest marks ever recorded. Medical personnel, please transport them to intensive care immediately. As Ji-hoon was loaded onto a medical stretcher, he saw the observation gallery. It was packed with beings from across the galaxy. They were all standing, and they were all silent, watching. Understanding. Ji-hoon woke up 2 days later in a medical bed. His entire body was wrapped in healing bandages. Director Pelmorth was waiting for him. "You are resting. Good," the director said. "Your friends are recovering well also. The burns were severe, but you will heal completely." "Did we really pass?" Ji-hoon asked, his voice hoarse. "You did more than pass. You accomplished something many believed was impossible." The 4 non-human candidates who withdrew are all excellent medical professionals. They made rational, logical decisions based on their training and biology. No one faults them for this. The director's energy pulsed thoughtfully. "But you 3 did something different. You saw beings in danger and could not walk away, even when walking away was the logical choice. Even when staying meant certain injury. You chose to suffer so others would not. It just seemed like the right thing to do," Ji-hoon said. "Yes, and that is what makes your species so remarkable. And so terrifying. You have this capacity to decide that something matters more than your own safety, your own comfort, even your own survival. Most species have limits built into their biology. You have limits too, but you can choose to push past them, to ignore them when you decide something is important enough." Over the following weeks, everything changed. The Galactic Medical Council issued new protocols, optional training programs based on human emergency response. Medical schools across the galaxy requested human instructors. The 3 students became minor celebrities, their story spreading across civilized space. But for Ji-hoon, the most meaningful moment came when Instructor Calrish visited him in the medical bay. The big Throk sat down carefully beside the bed. "I have something to tell,"